We are going down the valley one by one, with our faces toward the city of the sun. Down the valley where the mournful fountains roll, where the stream of dead the silent onward flow. We are going down the valley, going down the valley, going toward the city of the sun. We are going down the valley, going down the valley, going down the valley one by one.
East Tennessee, a place known for its beautiful scenery. But it's also known for something else, its beautiful sound. The music of East Tennessee is very important to its culture and its people. But what exactly makes this music so important to East Tennessee? The best way to find out is by asking the musicians who create this music. But how did they get their start in all of this? Well, that's what we're going to find out by asking the actual musicians of East Tennessee. Some of these musicians have years and years of experience with the music of the area.
My name is L.C. Jones, and I'm a 76-year-old. I've been in music probably 60 years, somewhere around 60 years, I guess. Just playing around on the back porches and around in people's houses, and probably been singing in churches all over the country and different places for maybe 35, 40 years.
Some musicians have spent their whole lives exposed to the music of this area.
Well, my name is Samuel Varga, and music really started out for me in my youngest of days. My mom put me in piano lessons when I was a child, and that carried me through to my teenage years. And then after that, I began progressing to new instruments, new styles, and it's really grown from there.
There are even some musicians who are just now starting out who realize the importance of music in this area.
My name is Joey Hurst, and I've been working with music for a little over a year. I had always been trying to get into music and finding out what I could do, but instruments were a little bit hard to handle. But when I figured out about the electronic aspect of music, I spent like a whole summer just learning about it and trying to get that under my belt, so that's when I've been starting to use it.
Then there are those who teach others the importance of music in East Tennessee.
My name is Daniel Boner, Daniel Boner. I direct bluegrass, old-time, and country music studies at East Tennessee State University. My initial interest in music probably goes back before I can remember. My mother likes to embarrass me by telling a story of when I was about 18 months old. I climbed into one of these console record players that my parents had, lifted up the lid, and turned on a George Jones record. So I've been listening to music my whole life.
So what about this music keeps these musicians interested in what they do?
Music for most people is just something to listen to, something for background noise. But for me, music, it isn't just music, it's something deeper. You can hear a note or a chord or that one song that speaks to a different side of you, even a deeper part. And it connects people like nothing else can, really.
It's just the idea of creating something, just the idea of you just mold something together and it just slowly becomes this big transitional thing that like it's only exists because you've made it. That's like enough inspiration for me to just keep working with it, seeing what else I can learn.
Music is an awful big part of your life. If it can keep you calm down, and it even make, I believe it can make you think different. People, you can kind of tell a person by what type of music he likes. Where he's easy to fly off the handle or get in something or would do something, or almost a thief or different.
So where does this music take people? You might be surprised at the variety of people these musicians have met and the places they have been.
Has been what has connected me to most of the people I know today. As soon as you have that connection, as with music or with any art form, you have that connection with people, even if you don't know who they are.
From the time I was about 8 years old, played in a gospel group that kind of traveled around locally performing, and really was learning how to play in a group, in those years. And I actually worked with David Reed, who is the son of the legendary old-time artist Ola Bell Reed.
I didn't think much of it, like when I started, but it's more like the more I work with it, I've met, being a film student and a musician, I've met other people who've needed some background music, or other people who like to share their techniques and what they do, and you kind of learn from them, and you can also teach them. So in that way, it's like you just build and gain through the people you meet. It's met like a lot of people.
A few years ago, before I started going to church, we played in some awful rough places. Played in a few old nightclubs and things where you didn't know where you was going to get out of there or not, because they was rough people. They wasn't the kind of people that you want to go back and elaborate on or really know. But it's been a lot of good, since I've been going to church the last 35 years, met a lot of good gospel groups, and they're good people.
Performing and sharing this music is very important to these musicians.
Precious memory, how they linger, how they ever was my soul.
And now, these musicians give advice to anyone who's interested in learning more about music or studying music in the near future.
If you want to do it, then I'd say give it your best and just try. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get into it. I was really doubtful about it, but the more I worked with something, the more I loved it. So if you think this is a passion that you want to go for, just keep going for it. Just do what you can, create what you can. It'll be worth it in the long run, and even if it doesn't bring anything, you'll definitely have something that you created, and that should be enough.
I think it's every musician's responsibility to be active and to be a part of keeping the tradition of music alive, especially in such a rural place.
If a person is interested in studying this kind of music, ETSU is a great place for them to learn about bluegrass, old-time Celtic, and country. It's a good place for people to be in an environment where there are around 200 other people who are just as excited about the music as they are.
So now, Daniel will elaborate more on the Bluegrass program at ETSU.
The program offers a Bachelor of Arts degree in Bluegrass, Old-Time, and Country Music Studies, and it's the first degree of its kind anywhere in the world. There are some other traditional music degrees that have cropped up since then, but ours is the first BA degree in Bluegrass, Old-Time, and Country Music. We're very proud of that. There's a lot of music happening, and there's a lot of activities that students can get involved with within our program, and even just in the area. This area of the country is very entrenched in the culture and the music. People like to learn about the Bristol sessions that happened, and kind of the early recordings of country music happened right here. The program, just because it's one of the few programs in the country, and it's the oldest established program at any four-year institution, And because there are so many professional connections, it draws the professional community to it, and vice versa. I think that professional artists are asking, I'll get phone calls quite often about, hey, I need a mandolin player, hey, I need a bass player. Do you have any students who are getting ready to graduate that might fit the bill? So that happens quite a bit. So that gives us an opportunity to connect with the artists out in the business, and it gives our students a chance to meet those folks as well and see them and how they work. The future of the program, I think, is pretty bright. We've got a lot of plans to grow it in other ways that we're currently not exploring right now. There's a lot of interest in bluegrass and old-time music in particular, Celtic music and traditional country music. So we like to fit those needs. And I'm taking a student group to Japan this summer, and they'll be doing lectures and presentations for Japanese audiences in an educational fashion, and they'll also be performing and kind of playing the music the way that audiences love to hear it. So that's a good cultural outreach for us, and we really believe in doing those types of activities so that our students gain real-world experience.
So, what is the importance of music in East Tennessee? Well, these musicians have the answer.
And around here, it's awfully important because right here, it's not so as much now as it has been. But used to, everything was based on gospel, and nobody ever made any size or anything no more than just play on maybe radio station, not be a television, one or two of them. We never made it. Nobody around here ever made it. But it's real important to this, to the country.
Many people might not think that music matters as much in such a rural place because people don't gather as much, they don't go to clubs or to the big arenas as much as you would in a big city. But really, music is what ties a place like this together. Because as far back, even when the country was founded, families would sit on their porch with a guitar and sing hymn songs, folk songs, and really anything they could think of. And that has really connected the rural places of the country today.
Well, it's kind of surprising to think that there's so many diverse genres of music in this area. You'd think it might just, if you're not from here, you might think it's just all banjos and country music, but there's rock artists, there's techno artists, you have hip hop artists, all kinds of just diverse people creating what they like.
It's very important to the people here. Appalachia has had a lot of musical influences from the outside. There's a ballad tradition that came over, in colonial America came over from England and Scotland and the British Isles and made its way through New England, in some cases down to Appalachia, southern Appalachia. There's a blues influence from Mississippi on the music of this area. There's a Memphis blues influence. There's also the great influence of gospel music and Protestant, religions that are in this region have influenced the music. There's shape note singing and a cappella singing and singing by lining out that tradition, which started in New England and it's now here, and it still exists in some rural places, kind of the way it developed. So it's something that the people of this area are proud of, and it's something that's unique to this area and something that should be celebrated.
So in the end, the music of East Tennessee has a large cultural impact and brings its people together. However, if you expand outside of East Tennessee, you'll realize that music has this kind of influence everywhere. Each region's music is important to its culture and its people in its own way. So in the end, this music is what brings the people of East Tennessee together.
Oh, they they tell me of a home for beyond the sky. Oh, they tell me of a home far away. Oh, they tell me of a home where no storm clouds rise. Oh, they tell me of an uncloudy day.
Of East Tennessee is very important to its culture and its people. But what exactly makes this music so important to East Tennessee? The best way to find out is by asking the musicians who create this music. But how did they get their start in all of this? Well, that's what we're going to find out by asking the actual musicians of East Tennessee. Some of these musicians have.
We are going down the valley one by one, with our faces toward the city of the sun. Down the valley where the mournful sobbing roll, where the stream of death is silent onward flow. We are going down the valley, going down the valley, going toward the city of the sun.
Years and years of experience with the music of the area.
My name is L.C. Jones, and I'm 76-year-old. I've been in music probably 60 years, somewhere around 60 years, I guess. Just playing around on the back porches and around people's houses, and probably been singing in churches all over the country and different places for maybe 35.
We are going down the valley, going down the valley, going down the valley one by one.
East Tennessee, a place known for its beautiful scenery, but it's also known for something else. Its beautiful sound. The music.
40 years.
Some musicians have spent their whole lives exposed to the music of this area.
Well, my name is Samuel Varga, and music really started out for me in my youngest of days. My mom put me in piano lessons when I was a child, and that carried me through to my teenage years. And then after that, I began progressing to new instruments, new styles, and it's really grown from there.